All right, this is a rare Boulevard deck tech type video. So, like I do sometimes, I struggle to find a deck that I really like in a meta, which honestly is surprising to me, given how much I thought I would click with Janna. But I've already talked about how I played Volibear from Platinum to Diamond, and since then I've been really looking for that deck that I want to ride from Diamond to Masters. So today, I went through and I looked at Runeterra AR. I said, what is the meta right now? And we finally have a Warden deck on top. I think people were really expecting this to happen at some point in the meta. Certainly, I thought it would happen earlier on. And I'm scrolling through here, and once we get out of the top 10, the win rates really start to fall down, and you've just got like, you're kind of going through this dredge of like 40 and 50% win rate decks. And I was struggling to find something that I thought was going to click with me. And then I thought, hey, why don't I go ahead and go back and look through what's already performed well this year and see if I can find, pull something out of the archives and put it back on the radar. And the deck I found was Samira Leona. Now, this deck famously did not actually have to be Samira. There were a lot of people that were doing like Samira Fizz plus Leona Noxus, and I really think that we're in a good position for Leona Noxus to come back. What knocked it out of favor, as you might remember, is the fact that in patch 4.4, when, we started to see all of these Samira nerfs, we also got Leona knocked down to a 5-day break as opposed to 4, and Sun Guardian going from a 2-3 to a 2-2. Now, one of those changes has been reverted in one of the more recent patches. Sun Guardian got that additional health back. Worth noting, Crimson Pigeon also got knocked down a bit, going from grant to give, which does hurt the deck a bit, but I think that we have enough new cards and interesting things that we can still make this function, and so that is what I have been doing. And I know what you're thinking, Boulevard. What is this? How did you even test this? I tested rigorously. Look at how many games I played. I did that all for you. I couldn't stand to do it. That's why there's no gameplay in this video, because I've already just played so many games. It'd really be, I got to give the ladder a break. So I haven't really, you can get a lot more experimental than I have. What I'm really seeking to do here is just put it back on the radar, right? Let's get people thinking about it. And the one thing that I think is really drawing people away from this is one of the new Shurima cards. Because we started to get Daybreak cards in Shurima, that's where I see a lot of the Leona decks starting to go, specifically Defenders of the Sun Disc and how it interacts with the Ravoon Leona. You get to stun out the entire board. But I was really surprised at how much of the Leona package is kind of left in Standard and how much we're going to get to play with. So as far as one drops were a little bit lighter, I still like the Saboteur, I still like the Soldier, because we are an aggressive deck. And actually, let me just point out before we get too deep into this, let me go spells, then units. That's how I like to do things traditionally. LOR layout kind of forces you to go by cost, but so it's 3 Pale Cascade, 3 Might, 3 Noxian Fervor, and 1 Moonlight Affliction. And there are some cards that I'm interested in trying out. Pirouette definitely could still find its way into this list again, but those are just what I found from the list that I initially looked up back from earlier in the year, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good to me, we'll just run that. The big thing here really is Might. The Sun Guardians get really, really large, and because no one's really playing Targon right now, you aren't really running into Hushes. This Sun Guardian plus Might combo is going to get you there in a lot of matchups. Now, aside from that, I've got some other weird cards in here. Obviously, Armed Acquisitioner, a lot of people talk about the Explorer cards, and yeah, if it's in your regions, this is a must-have. The Armed Acquisitioner actually feels really good, even in situations where your opponent doesn't really have the landmark or the equipment or anything like that, because healing your units in a deck like this, where you are playing such a hardy mid-range deck, does feel pretty good in a lot of situations. We're running into a lot of Janna decks that are trying to string together multiple pieces of removal. If you can take your Sun Guardian to the moon before that, and they have to try and chip away at it over the course of a couple of turns, that 2 heal can be a big difference for you. I keep losing the cards on the side here. Sunhawk, obviously some of the Solaris are going to be self-explanatory. Twilight Protector was one of my favorite cards in this deck initially because, again, the temporary buffs. It's like I really like playing Garen in Volibear Janna for a similar reason, just sort of like pseudo-healing my units, and because I thought in Janna, no, not Janna, in Volibear Galio, because I feel like Triple Volibear, Triple Galio is very top-heavy. I wanted something to smooth out the curve. That's really neither here nor there. Point is, I've been playing with temporary buffs to heal my board a lot this meta, and it's been feeling very good to me. Dark and Lodestone's a little techy. We'll see where that one goes. Again, I've played a considerable amount of games, but I still don't have everything down exactly how I want it. Now, as far as the champions, like I mentioned, there were some decisive splits from people. Now, you could be playing Samira in this. I think that you could even tailor the deck a little bit more to being Samira. But because I exist in the tournament sphere, I understand that Samira Janna is a deck that a lot of people want to bring to the Runeterra Open, and so I would hate to come in here with something, a mediocre haphazard pile, to just commandeer your Samira spot. That's not what I'm looking to do here. So Kale is good, but I don't want to be 3 Kale because then I'm on, just too many 5 drops, Ravoon plus Kale plus Leona. It's not a good look. I wanted to try out Riven, and I actually want to try Riven with not necessarily the Darkened Lodestone, but maybe something like the Wandering Shepherd. Because level 2 Riven was changed a little while ago so that she now works with weapons, in that when you increase her power for the first time, it gets that as instead of just like doubling the buff, right? So like previously, Might would take this to 10 attack. Currently, Might will still take it to 10 attack. Previously, Dark and Lodestone would give you +1/+1. Now, Dark and Lodestone gives you +2/+1. You know what I'm saying? When you equip it, that is. So I'm not opposed to the idea of throwing in things like Wandering Shepherd and playing a little bit more of an equipment synergy for the Riven, especially because we are a little light on 3 drops. It is just Sun Guardian and Riven for the time being. And if you don't find that Sun Guardian yet, it'd be nice to have something that's going to stick around. Now, 3 damage is a little bit too easy for people to get to right now, so I really value the 4 health on the Riven, just when we're talking about units that I want to look at for this deck in general. But so far, I've been having a lot of success with just, like we used to. You just might a Sun Guardian, and people aren't really, people can't really deal with that right now. We're in a very PNZ heavy meta, so you're seeing a lot of just damage-based removal adding up. It's why we're still seeing Galio decks do very well, and things like that. So I think just having a hardy mid-range deck like Daybreak is definitely a place in the meta that you can look to exploit. This is not the perfect build. I definitely think there's room for improvement here, and I will probably continue to iterate upon it, but I don't know, like, I'm probably not going to make another video on it, right? I might post about it on Twitter, so you should follow me at Boulevard TCG. Unless at Boulevard opens up, then I'm going to be at Boulevard. But for now, it's Boulevard TCG. So check out there if I do end up, running this list a little bit more through and refining it a little bit, because I definitely think that there is something here. I think this is something that we tried a lot at the beginning of the year, had a lot of success with, took some nerfs, got some stuff back. Not the absolute titan that it was before, but I definitely feel like this has an opportunity to exploit something within the meta. So just wanted to put that on your radar. So give it a shot for yourself. Let me know how it goes. If they're, if you're like trying this out and you're like, oh, Boulevard, I don't know how you ever saw anything in this. This is dog shit. Or if you're like, yeah, actually it feels like there might be something here. Maybe it needs Samira. I don't think it does, but definitely a lot of room for experimentation with the new cards in something like this, especially with the new Riven weapon synergies. Definitely want to get my hands on that one. So that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you give it a shot.